right, I guess start the show. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I'm Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. I'm my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Lee Elias. Lee, how are you doing today?
Ray, I'm really excited that in that little pre-thing you did before the show, people now know that your natural laugh is a maniacal laugh. Where you're like, start the show. Yes, there it is again. It's just this maniacal, evil laugh that would scare a lot of us when we were in school. I'm just used to it now, but it could have been jarring for the audience that maybe hasn't met you.
That's true. That's true. If you're not used to it, I am actually the Joker. And I am constantly planning my revenge on Batman.
Yes. Joaquin Phoenix actually based his character off of you.
That's right. I'm actually very good friends with Joaquin, and he constantly is calling me, asking for more inspiration. And I just
so what would you do here? I would just dance on the stairs, man. Dance good? No.
Have you seen me dance? No.
He did his best, Ray. He's not quite you.
No, he did great. I mean, look, I get it. They don't like a fat Joker, so I couldn't do it. So
that's their mistake. They could have made this work. Listen, today's non-sponsor, really special one, Ray. It's elusive. Not many people can get it.
Ooh.
Okay. You and I will not be able to get it. This non-sponsor, but I happen to have one here today. Today's non-sponsor, Ray, is the Stanley Cup. For those of you watching, I'm holding a pretty, not full-size, but almost full-size, gigantic Stanley Cup in my hands. Ray is frowning. I am smiling because, Ray, as of right now, we have every chance to win the 2025 Stanley Cup championship, but no chance of winning the 2024. Today's non-sponsor, it has its own Instagram account. Most famous trophy in the world. Right here, his little stepbrother, the Stanley Cup, is today's non-sponsor. And I'm going to close. See, Ray, you look disappointed, Ray, but you've won one of these in your lifetime. I have not. I have to use my own devices and hug this miniature silver Stanley Cup and just wonder. I wonder what it would be like. Buddy, you want to know what's sad about this one that I'm holding? It's got extra weight added to it, which was by request, so that when I hold it over my head, I can maybe get an inkling of what it might be like to hold the Stanley Cup. Today's non-sponsor, the Stanley Cup. Stanley, we love you and all of your journeys. Stanley Cup. It doesn't make that sound. That's not the real sound. I just want everybody to know that.
It's not actually hollow.
It's pretty big, though. This thing's 3 feet tall. That's a pretty cool thing to have around the office.
That is impressive.
Elusive. It's something else, Master. Elusive.
Yeah, well, I mean, we might as well just get into it then.
Hey, as the great Qui-Gon Jinn, pay attention to here and now. But Master Yoda says you be mindful of the future, not at the expense of the moment. And in this moment, we're going to talk about the NBA. No, the NHL playoffs. I'll dive into it, Ray. The New York Rangers completely shit the bed in the conference final and lost to the a very good Florida Panthers team, taking nothing away from them. But the Florida Panthers, if I had to sum this series up in one word, it's not one word, I'm sorry. If I just one sentence, it would be that the Florida Panthers punched the New York Rangers in the mouth and the Rangers had nothing to respond. I picked the Rangers to win the Stanley Cup. It was not a bad pick when you get this deep in the playoffs and you're a couple games away from going to the conference final. I don't think that's a bad pick.
No.
But they ran into a team that's determined, that has the physicality needed, and I am shocked that the New York Rangers were not able to respond to that level of physicality from the top down. The play was at times uninspiring. I don't want to call it gutless, but it was not playoff level decision making where everything needs to be great. There was a lot of safe plays, a lot of regular season type plays that were not the Rangers team we saw in the first 2 rounds, to be honest with you.
Nope.
And that in the third round here, you're just not going to win. A little bit more hoping than doing. And the Florida Panthers earned that trip to the conference final. We'll talk about the Western Conference in a minute too. But yeah, I don't know what to say, Ray. I am somewhat shocked that the Rangers. So maybe they ran out of gas. I don't know what it was. The only person who didn't run out of gas on that team was Igor Shesterkin, who had a 92.5 save percentage.
Yeah,
which is Stanley Cup worthy.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
so it's insane.
No, I mean, look, it came out. We kind of suspected. Jacob Trouba said he was basically playing on a broken ankle, which I mean, I get it at that point. Honestly, I get why you don't want to take yourself out of the lineup, but we would have been. I said this several games ago.
Yeah, he made some
better if Trouba was not there and Zach Jones was there instead. Remember when Trouba was hurt towards the end of the regular season, the Rangers went 12-2 without Trouba and with Jones in there instead. And Laviolette was grasping for straws, it seemed, in the forwards position. And I felt like they could have done the same thing with the defense, where they could have made moves. Adam Fox admitted he got hurt in the first round, which most of us suspected. That he basically, the knee injury he had in the regular season got re-aggravated.
Well,
he says he will not
Ray, I got to stop you. It's not that you're making excuses. It's the guys on the ice didn't have it.
No,
healthy,
for
like
sure.
the Panarins, the Zibanejad's.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's
Kreider,
the thing.
I'll give a little leeway to. Capo Caco is nowhere to be found.
No, Capo Caco. I've said the first thing I said is Capo Caco needs to be traded. Capo Caco needs to be traded.
Yeah, Lafreniere was good.
I think Capo Caco and Philip Hedl need to be packaged together with maybe a draft pick and needs to be sent somewhere else because I am tired of some of these guys who just don't show up. Now, look, I get it. Panarin had a bad round. He only had, he had the last goal of the season. That was it.
It was nothing. It was
Mika and Kreider showed up in the last 2 games, but they weren't there for the most part up to that point.
I don't even think that. Look, I don't think Zibanejad was that apparent. I think he was more visible.
Yeah.
But it's not like he was making play. Like, look, when we get to the Western Conference and we talk about what Connor McDavid did, all right, like, man, that's a guy that's stepping up. Yes, he is the best player in the world, but
sure,
he's a guy stepping up and doing stuff. Like the Rangers did. I hate comparing.
The Rangers very much stayed within their system.
Yeah, and
did not adjust at all to what Florida was doing.
Right. And
you could tell, like, Mika, again, even on the power play, it's just like, well, feed Mika for a one-timer. They know that's coming.
Yeah, it was bad.
You've done that now for almost 100 games. You got to mix it up. And people are like, well, why is the power play not working? Because it's the same power play that everybody has seen now, and you figure out how to diffuse it. And Florida made adjustments. What a concept!
Well, look, I'll say a few things about this. Like, the hardest part of actually this Ranger team is watching Mark Messier try and be like, yeah, I'm talking about both teams. Please, God, Rangers, stop messing up. It was painful to watch. But I really hate comparing Ranger teams to the 94 team. I don't like to do it, but it is kind of the standard. And it's like you just didn't have that.
There were parallels here.
Yeah, a lot. Like, I don't think it's fair to the current team to compare them to that Giant.
Sure. I get there's a lot of pressure. Even Panarin mentioned that, like, he felt that there was the expectations were higher this year.
Well, they are high. The thing is, I didn't feel like, look, Messier is one of a kind. So I'm not saying that, hey, go find another Mark Messier. That's not exactly easy to do.
Yeah.
But they didn't have that figure of like, we're going to go win the Stanley Cup right now. Florida has that.
Yeah.
And a few players.
Yeah.
Barkov.
And Reinhardt.
Kachuk.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
All right. Shesterkin had it. No one's going to look at Igor Shesterkin at all with that save percentage and the amount of shots he took and say, oh, as you. But there's just, you're waiting for someone to stand up. Like you could say it's easier said than done, but I don't know, man. Like, great teams do this. I will say this, and I said this in our show before, when they matched up against Florida, I said, I really wanted Boston because Florida knows what it takes.
Yep.
And the Rangers are a team, to me, kind of my closing argument here, that better have just learned a huge lesson, all right, on getting there. I don't think that their time is up. That wasn't their last gasp.
No.
They've got years here to get there, but you gotta learn now.
Yeah.
Because that's how close they were.
Yeah.
Right. And again, the other thing too is Florida is insanely healthy right now, probably more than any other team.
Yeah.
And you guys were slightly not. Right?
Yeah.
I'm very interested to hear what's wrong with Adam Fox.
No, he said it. They said it. His knee. He re-aggravated his knee in that hit in the first round.
There you go.
So but even still, I'm not even going to blame. Even a injured Adam Fox is still better than half the defensemen in the playoffs.
I'm just making the point. It doesn't help when your Norris Trophy guy is probably at 70%.
Sure. Absolutely.
It's frustrating. It was frustrating that they couldn't find a way through this.
And Trouba said he was hurt too. And honestly, again, that's why you have You have somebody who is now going to be in their top 6 defense next year in Zach Jones. And I get that it's not easy to sit your captain, your quote-unquote captain. But Jacob Trouba should have been sat. They should have put in Zach Jones.
To a different line.
They mixed him up in the last game, and it didn't matter at that point. I think Jacob Trouba needs to be bought out. I think he needs to be gone. I think Heedle needs to be gone. I think Capo Caco needs to be gone. I think Barclay Goodrow's worth is at an all-time high right now. I think you trade him.
Yeah. Well, look, this is what I'll say, and this is classic New York fashion. The Toronto Maple Leafs Big Four is going to get broken up. And I think if you were able to get Mitch Marner, and keeping in mind, I would love to have him on the Flyers too. But if you were to get somebody like that right now, that's a game changer.
There are already rumors that there's already rumors about the Rangers are talking to Ottawa about Dončić.
Yeah.
So
Brady Tkachuk would be a good pickup too, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. It's there are moves to be made. There is cap to be cleared, and there is retooling to be done. But this is not acceptable.
Ray, I got the Stanley Cup in my hand for effect. Look,
let's go, Edmonton.
Oh, final note on the Eastern Conference. Yeah. Florida looks really damn good. I counted them out a little bit at the beginning of the playoffs, and they showed exactly what a playoff-built team looks like. They're not a regular season team, even though they had a good regular season.
Even though they had 110 points.
Yeah, they but my point is this, is that great – I should rephrase it. They had a great regular season, but they are taking it to the playoff Stanley Cup level now. The NHL playoffs are a different thing than the regular season, a very different thing. And I'm going to say it again. The Rangers just kind of ran out of gas. Their window is wide open. And I hope
the Rangers still have, I would say, the Rangers still have 2 to 3 years, I think.
Oh, as long as Shesterkin's there, you've got a chance. So going over the Western Conference, the Edmonton Oilers finally, after 72 billion years, have found their way back to the Stanley Cup Final. Actually, wasn't that long ago they were there. They were back there in 2006. The Carolina Hurricanes, where they dropped in 7 games, I believe, to the Hurricanes, led by a young Rod Brind'Amour. Not young at that point, but Captain Rod Brind'Amour. They defeated the other team to get there. No, they defeated the Dallas Stars to get to the Stanley Cup Final. In one less game than I said. Remember I said it would be Dallas in 4, Edmonton in 7? So Edmonton pulled through, and this is what I was alluding to earlier. Connor McDavid led the way.
Yes.
Completely led the way. This entire playoffs.
Folks, if you haven't seen it, the most unbelievable goal you'll ever see. See.
He toe dragged the puck behind him through 3 people to the net, then deked the goalie, and then put it in. And then he did his typical McDavid celebration. It's like, you guys see that? You see how good that looked? Okay, I'm going to go to the bench now. I'll be back in a minute. That team looks great. Dallas was not able to shut that line down for whatever reason. Or maybe that line elevated it to another level.
But to be fair, in Game 6, they kind of did. Edmonton only won 2-1 in Game 6. Stuart Skinner, we talked about this earlier in the playoffs too. When Stuart Skinner is on, Edmonton is hard to beat. He made 34 saves on 35 shots in Game 6. Now, not all of them were great, but still, he made the saves he had to make. And when he does that, Edmonton only had 10. This was insane. Edmonton had 10 shots on goal in Game 6.
Yeah, and they won.
And they won 2-1.
How brutal is that?
That's unbelievable.
Well, that just shows you something. But look, I don't have a lot to say about this series. I just want to keep the focus on Edmonton, that those fans have really suffered.
Yes.
All right. And this is one of the greatest franchises in the NHL, no matter what you think.
Have you ever been to Edmonton?
I try not to go out there.
I have been there once. The only thing to do in Edmonton is to watch the Oilers.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Well, what about the CFL?
The what?
The CFL.
The who?
the CFL, Ray.
The only thing to do in Edmonton is to watch the Oilers.
Oh, man, those Eskimo fans are going to be pissed.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
But listen, Edmonton is a great franchise. I am glad that Connor McDavid, the game's best player, is going to the Stanley Cup Final. Ray, are you ready for my Stanley Cup Final prediction?
Yes.
I'm going to shock the world here. I believe the Florida Panthers will sweep the Edmonton Oilers in the final.
Sweep.
I'll put a little maybe 5 games. I think this is going to be a sweep. I think the Florida Panthers are going to kick the crap out of the Oilers.
The thing is, I don't know if they're gonna. I don't know if they'll win it. I don't know if it'll be a short series.
Well, this is a podcast. I got to make broad predictions so people listen.
I think. Look, I agree.
Put that in a mini clip.
I think Florida will probably win in 6.
I would be very surprised if they don't win the Stanley Cup. And I can break this down pretty easily. They were there last year. They lost last year, and they're healthy now. And Edmonton has no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, they're already celebrating in Edmonton as if they had won the cup. I don't know if you saw this. McDavid being harassed in the parking lot and whatnot. You're right. The fans are. The fans, not the team. The fans are.
Yeah.
McDavid looks
pretty focused, to be fair.
Yes, McDavid's basically like, "These guys, please leave me alone while I'm in the parking lot. Please leave me alone."
I think what is likely to happen is a 1983 situation where the Islanders beat them.
Right.
That's when the Oilers really learned to win.
Yes.
I think this is going to go 4 games. I really do think it's going to be a sweep. I don't want it to be a sweep. I should put it out there too. I want it to go 7 games with every game going to 5 overtimes. All right, maybe 4. I have to get up in the morning, but especially when they're on the West Coast. By the way, farthest traveled NHL final in history.
2,500 miles.
Yeah, what's more than that? Way more than that.
Yeah,
it's like 4,000 something miles. Yeah.
Oh.
It's okay. That's what I'm here for. Ray's directionally challenged. It's right. It's that way. No, for you, it's that way. It's east. Okay. Or Edmonton's that way up. Let's straight up. Look, I really hope what happens here is that this is the Connor McDavid.
Neither of us were right.
I was right. I was right.
So, okay. The total, if you were to fly in a straight line from Edmonton, actually, I was right. From Edmonton to Sunrise, it's 2,500 miles. It's 2,500 miles. If you were to drive, it's 3,000 miles if you were to drive.
What you're saying is I was right. Okay.
No, I was more right than you. Said 4,000.
How many kilometers?
Price is Right rules.
Look at
Price
the kilometers.
Right rules. Go back to the videotape. Price is Right rules.
How many kilometers is it?
Nobody cares about kilometers. This is
America. It makes me right if it's in kilometers.
It's almost 5,000 kilometers.
I was under the retail price. I am today's big winner.
We're not playing in kilometers, my friend. We are playing in miles.
Ray, if I could crawl through this screen right now and hug you, I would, because that's so much worse than punching you in the face. I know you, my friend. That was another cackle. That was like an emperor cackle. You just
I said 2,500 miles, and you said no, it's 4,000.
Listen to me. I'm right.
I just Googled it. The Google, which you can't see because of the camera.
How do you know Google's even right?
Travelmath.com says.
I'm not going off some illegitimate source. It's probably run by a government website. It's just, you can't trust the internet nowadays. So anyway, it's 3,000 something miles.
Okay, there are a whole variety of websites depending on who you ask. It ranges between 2,540 miles and 2,550 miles.
Right. So I was right. I appreciate it.
I was 100%.
Just like I said,
right.
2,500 miles is exactly correct. Now, if you take the long route, it's probably 4,500. If you go across Canada to Toronto and then south, now I'm probably correct on that one. It's semantics. Anyway,
it's a long ways away.
It's a long flight. Yeah, I've only seen one playoff series farther than this in hockey, not the NHL. But there was a time where the North Carolina, I can't remember where they were in North Carolina, the Checkers played against Alaska in the ECHL final. And what they did was they smartly they changed it to be a 2-3-2 series instead of 2-2-1-1-1 because every player was like, nah, dog. There's no need to do that.
Yeah.
So everybody agreed on that. But look, I think that McDavid and Draisaitl are going to play great, but frustrated. Yeah. And I think that the Panthers are going to kill them. First off, I think I would take Bobrovsky any day of the week.
Oh, absolutely. That is a huge edge.
A lot of people don't think this is a mismatch, and I think it is. So we'll see what happens. But what I'm hoping is that this final ends with McDavid, looking with his beady eyes on the ice just after that loss, like, I'll be back. Or as McDavid says, I'll be back. And then they'll come back the next year and against the Philadelphia Flyers, where the Flyers will lose in 4 games to the Edmonton Oilers because they're not a playoff team. This is just me dreaming now. Anyway, that's my prediction. I think we have everything to make a sweep right now.
The only thing Edmonton has going for it is that one lady in the stands that flashed everybody after they won Game 6. So, or was it Game 5? I don't remember. Whatever, but I want to see Edmonton win because I want to see what that lady does next.
That is kind of everywhere right now. She was proud and loud without using
it. Is everywhere, folks.
Yeah,
it is everywhere.
No, I'll say this, man. I just got the makings of a sweep.
Yes.
I don't want it to be that way. I want it to go along. I wouldn't even mind if Edmonton somehow won this thing. I just don't think that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
I agree. I think I say Florida in 6. Actually, there's a lot of more off days. I feel like in the Stanley Cup this year too, because it is such a far distance. You mentioned the travel earlier. There's a lot of 2-day breaks between games this year.
They put the schedule. I think all the games are at 8 p.m., which is correct. That's usually what they do. A lot of people on the East Coast don't like that, but I'm like, dude, if I'm an Edmonton fan, that's 5 p.m. Like, that's
right.
Work and go to the Cup final. That's not great. 8 p.m. So the games are Saturday, Monday,
and then there's 2 days
Thursday.
off. And they go up to Edmonton.
Every game's at 8.
And then there's 2 days off between games 4 and 5, and then 2 days off before games 5 and 6.
So here we go. It's a week off before the final begins, which is great. I do agree with that. It's like a Super Bowl. Yeah. Saturday, Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Tuesday, Friday, Monday.
Basically, it's aside from anything between games 6 and 7, if necessary. There's 2 days, like you said. They're giving them 2 days off between when there's travel days because of it's such a far distance.
It's too much, and that's the right thing to do, and it extends the season a little bit too. So I'm not against that.
Yes, so the hockey season potentially will not end, I think, until June 24th.
Yeah,
if it goes late. 7. Yes,
but not the latest because of that one season where we played hockey until like late August.
Yeah. Yeah,
because of the disease that will not be named. Anyway, the NHL as we turn to the NBA, the NBA.
Yeah, the NBA. The NBA playoffs, to the surprise of no one. It's Celtics.
They stalled out. It was exciting, and now it's stalling.
I mean, they kick off on Thursday, and look, I'm rooting for Dallas. Everybody's rooting for Dallas because nobody wants Boston. Outside of Boston, but it's probably going to be Boston.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, 14 more wins. Not that matters this time of year, but
they're rolling. They're well rested.
Yeah. It's the Celtics to lose, right? Like this.
Absolutely.
This is where you wanted to be. And again, the Celtics made it. We said that before the playoffs. You knew where it was going to go. Again, the Western Conference, maybe a little less predictable, right?
I mean, I think the Mavs beating the Wolves was an upset. We talked about this last week where I think the Wolves might have expended all their energy getting past Denver, and then Dallas took advantage of that. They ended up winning in 5. Minnesota did at least get 1 game at the end. But, I mean, Dallas, Luka, I can never say it.
Did you call him Luka Donkey?
No.
Is that what you said?
No.
Luka, he called you a donkey on live podcasting.
Luka and Kyrie absolutely going off. I will say this: the one thing is that as long as Kyrie keeps his head in the game, his experience could be an X factor for Dallas at this point. But I mean, on paper, again, Boston is just so stacked.
Do you think Mark Cuban giving up majority ownership had anything to do with this?
No.
I don't either. No. I think he's happy for him.
I think he's thrilled. Yeah, he's excited. I think Boston again. I think I'm going to say 6, but maybe it goes 7. But I just don't think Boston's going to lose this one again. I really don't. Could be even 5, honestly. Dallas won't get swept. No sweeps. No sweeps this time. But I think Boston will win this rather easily, all told.
Yeah, it would be a major upset if they didn't. Before we jump into Major League Baseball, I want to give a quick shout out to the WNBA. A lot of talk going on in the WNBA right now.
Yes,
Clark,
the Caitlin Clark rules. Yes,
this is all I'm going to say, and I'm meaning this in a positive way. Keep talking about it.
Yes,
I'm very happy with this. Keep that, and I think that the players kind of get that too. Hey, controversy, debate, watching the games. Should she not? What? Keep talking about women's basketball. It's the best thing that can possibly happen to women's basketball. People are watching it.
Whether, I mean, attendance is on the rise across the league, but in particular, every game that she's been in, I think, has been close to or has been a sellout.
It's been great, and she's doing great too for a rookie.
Yeah,
but I just wanted to make it. I love that we're talking about it. I love that it's coming up in conversations. I love that it's a debate. The debate is not should it be popular anymore. The debate is, did you see what this athlete said about this athlete?
Yes.
Sounds familiar. Sounds like every other sport that I watch.
Yes.
Keep it going. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Caitlin Clark is like a Michael Jordan, the way I'm watching this. She's taking receipts on everything that's said about her.
Oh, yeah.
Like, make no mistake that her reign is coming. It might not be this season, but it's coming.
Yeah. I mean, you're starting to see now. What was it? Kennedy Carter, who had, of course, that ridiculous shoulder tackle on her. Like you're and the rest of the league being jealous of her about her shining a spotlight on your league, because that's what it is. It feels like when some of these players are taking. I mean, what Carter did to her was nothing less than a cheap shot. There is nothing. No, there's no other way to call it. Right? She shoulder tackled her with her back turned. Right.
Good.
I mean, and Angel Reese coming out being like, well, she's not the only star in the league. And it's like, and then I'm sorry, but no offense, Angel, but let me watch you play. And Caitlin Clark, she's not the only star in the league, but you're not one of the stars that people are talking about.
Here's the deal. Sports is drama. Yeah. And we're getting now the storylines that I enjoy in sports, which is I don't want her to win. This is what no one's talking about, Ray, that kind of bothers me. At least I haven't heard anybody talking about it, which is, oh, that was a cheap shot. No. I mean, yes, it is a cheap shot, but here's the thing. Yes. Competition, man. They are competitive. They want to win. They're showing you what pro athletes do to win. Male pro athletes are just like this. It just doesn't get the spotlight as much. We're going to talk about a story in a little bit about a male athlete who lost his mind and said his team sucks. All right, so my point to you is this. Now we're watching this like it's sport. Yep. All right. And I've watched these games, right? Yeah. And it's cool to see that we're talking about it. And I think that this is a big feather in the cap of everyone involved, even good guy, bad guy, however you want to look at it. Good girl, bad girl. No, good woman, bad woman, whatever. Good athlete, bad athlete. I like how we're looking at it now as sports. So I just wanted to say that real quick.
Let's go New York Liberty. We're number 2 right now in the league. Just New York Liberty. Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. It is June 4th.
Yes.
Today. Ray, yes. We might not be getting the Stanley Cup, Ray, but as of today, the New York Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies both
tied for the best record in baseball.
Same record, 42-19. Best teams in their respective leagues.
Yes.
Hot.
Red hot. Yes.
Buddy, I just want to sit here for a quick second and enjoy this feeling with you.
Yes. 101 games to go for both of our
teams.
Just a
couple. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I got to jump back to hockey real quick. Yeah, no, because we were right about something, and I totally forgot to say this.
I love when we're right.
No, we were. You remember that horrible losing streak that Edmonton was at the beginning of the season?
Oh my God! Yes, I know. Remember when we talked about at Game 20, and TNT was like, "What are the Oilers gonna do?"
Trade everybody. Yeah,
because everybody at TNT doesn't know what they're talking about, except for Wayne Gretzky. But it's just. And Henrik. There's a couple of guys there, but
everybody but Biz. Yeah.
Yeah, when Liam McHugh was like, go to the graphic, guys, show Edmonton in the standings, and I'm like, it's game 20.
Yeah.
It's game 20. And now they're in the Cup final. You moron!
we said if there's any team that can do it, it's the Edmonton Oilers. Now,
I will say they have the best player in the world.
They do. And I'm saying this now as a coach that very interestingly enough, McDavid, Drysdale, a lot of them said it was because of that start that they found the grit they needed to get to this point of the season. Imagine that from a horrible position, they learned how to win.
That adversity builds character and grit and
that's why the President Trophy is a curse, right? So I wanted to bring that back up. I'm sorry I forgot to bring that up for our loyal listeners who listen. I went backwards, but I had to say it. Like this, you never judge a book by its first
I'm thrilled you brought that back up.
Yeah,
because I thought of that during the week and I forgot to bring it up myself. Because
Ray, I'm here for you. I'm here for you, and I'm here for us, and I'm here for the Stanley Cup by my side. That neither of us.
The NHL on TNT in front of the bus.
Wayne Gretzky's driving the bus with Lundqvist next to him.
Yes, that's right.
All right, Messier's in there.
Look at these morons, eh?
PK's there, yeah. PK's in there. All right, going back to baseball, the Phillies and the Yankees, best two teams in the MLB. MLB, how do we say it? They did a lot of right this week in the sense of we're going to talk about some statistical changes.
A lot of good, a lot of bad.
Well, no, it's the Mets, so it was good for everyone but the Mets.
Yes.
You'll see.
Well,
Let's talk about
five very specific players, which we will get to.
Oh, we'll talk about that too. Yeah, that was not good. But major decision this week in the MLB that we need to recognize.
100%. This was something that was a long time coming.
Way too long, but they did it, and that's what is important here.
The Negro Leagues are now officially being recognized for all their statistics in Major League Baseball, which means a lot of records have changed. Specifically, probably the biggest one is that now Ty Cobb does not have the greatest all-time lifetime batting average. That goes to the great Homestead Grays catcher Josh Gibson, who had a 372 career average. And again, this is a long time coming. I mean, a lot of times, they talked about back in the day, folks. We're going to go down a baseball history lesson now. A lot of times you have to remember, we think of baseball players nowadays getting so much money. A lot of times these guys it didn't really start to turn a corner until maybe the 50s or 60s, where guys could just play baseball and make a living. And usually that was because of endorsement deals and things of that nature, right?
They didn't get paid that much. Yeah.
No, it was the endorsement deals that really kind of like typically it was like cigarette companies and things like that. Like now we would frown on, but back then it was a big deal, and or watches and things like that. I think Yogi Berra and Joe DiMaggio, they used to specifically have Rolexes, and they'd have a deal with them, right? That these guys used to need supplemental income. They did not make enough money during the regular season to also not do anything in the off season. So a lot of times they worked other jobs, or if they were the really great players, your Lou Gehrig's, your Babe Ruths, they would do a thing called barnstorming, which is where they would go around the country and they would do exhibition games. And a lot of times you'd have kind of like a lot of Major League players versus Negro League players. And a lot of times the Negro League players, at the very least, did just as well, if not outright beat the Major League players. The Negro Leagues, you have to remember, obviously, it wasn't just Jackie Robinson. Hank Aaron played the first few months of his career in the Negro Leagues. Like, a lot of amazing, great baseball talent was in the Negro Leagues, and they were never recognized.
Arguably better than Major League Baseball.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying with the barnstorming story, is that they were probably better in many instances, not every instance, but many instances, than what Major League Baseball was offering. Like, like your Babe Ruths, your Lou Gehrig's were obviously on that same level.
But they're on the list, and that's the point. Is that's why these have been integrated now.
Exactly.
It's a major win.
You can see just how good these guys were. They were on the same level as the Major Leagues, and they deserve to be recognized, and they finally are. And this is a great accomplishment for baseball. Yeah.
Baseball's been doing a lot of right lately. Yes. I got to tell you, I'm enjoying it again. Ray, you remember there's a time I was like, I just can't trust these guys. I don't want to watch them. My heart's been broken too many times.
Yes.
But I mean, this is the most baseball I've watched in years. And I watched a fair amount last year too. But what's great about this integration, number one, is that it is long overdue. And, I did say to you, this is like 60 years too late, but I also remember this is a super traditionalist sport. So the fact that they did it actually says volumes.
Yes.
Right. The other thing that I'm thankful for is that now when you have conversations with morons and you say they did this, like, oh, well, that's ridiculous. I get to go, why is that ridiculous?
Yeah.
And then they're in a very precarious place. Yes. So they're like, there's nothing ridiculous about it. You know what I mean? These are equal players, all of them. They always have been. Right.
100%.
So this is it's a wonderful thing that they've done this and recognized this. And again, long overdue, but finally here. Baseball seems to be changing for the better.
In a lot of ways. Absolutely. And this was a big win. Yeah, well, we know that. But even that will hopefully start to change soon. But look, it takes time, but baseball is making the necessary moves to get better.
Yeah.
It is taking time. It is slow moving. It is glacial in its change making, but it is making them for the better. And this is an example of that. This was a great long time coming decision. And again, if you haven't played, by the way, MLB The Show either last year or this year, their Negro League storylines is phenomenal. Yeah. It is a great way to kind of bring the Negro League Museum to you. If you don't get a chance to go to the middle of the country, I believe it's in Kansas City. Please, I'm going to double check this.
I believe you're right. I'm just look. There's a history.
I've never been. It's a place I've always wanted to go.
We need to go to Kansas City as part of Geeks Across America, Ray.
Yeah, it is Kansas City. I was correct. It's Kansas City.
I think you just picked the city.
And it's $10 to get in. It's $10 to get in. Absolutely worth it if you're in Kansas City. I've heard nothing but amazing things. It's something I've always wanted to do as a baseball fan. But I want to go to Louisville, Kentucky, because that's where they make the baseball bats. I've always wanted to do that.
Oh, in Louisville.
Yeah, my mom went and she's like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." I'm like, "I'm glad you went without me, Ma." So But anyway, I have been to Cooperstown. Yes, that was because we were growing up in Jersey. That Cooperstown was like a 4-hour drive.
Right.
So I did that. I did do Cooperstown once, which is a lot of.
Do you want to know a little known fact about me that shocks people?
Did you used to play shortstop?
No, that is true. I did for one little season. But that, I mean, I don't know if that would
check out our special episode with the Geek Saga from a few weeks ago.
I think that shocked you that I played baseball a little bit.
I just never knew. I'm not. Once you told me, I was like, "Oh, you have to be shortstop because that was the best." That's the shortstop.
Yeah, at that time in my life, I could pull that off. Now I'd want to be a right fielder and just leave me alone. No,
I'm the bench coach.
Yeah, you could be the bench coach. I always tell people I was in choir for 10 years, but the thing that not a lot of people know about, and never been. This is something my wife is trying to change. Never been to the Hockey Hall of Fame ever.
Wow.
In Toronto.
That's something. I've never been either. I've been to Canton for football and I've been to Cooperstown for baseball, but I've never been.
Yeah, but I'm trying to. Me not going to the Hockey Hall of Fame by this point in my life is the equivalent of, I guess, you not going to Cooperstown or,
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, you should definitely, especially with all your travels. I'm surprised you haven't been to Toronto.
I've only been to Toronto once, and I had to leave in a flurry because my daughter decided to be born that day.
Oh.
That was the only time I was in Toronto, and I'm going back to Toronto next month, so we will see. It might.
Oh, well, there you go. That you should definitely do that.
Well, I'm going back to coach hockey of all things. Shocker, but I'm coaching an international competition again, but. I want to do it in a way where it's not rushed. And I've been very clear about this. But I don't want to have to go for an hour and leave. Like, I almost want to go for a couple of days because I think there's going to be a lot of me standing in front of glass looking at things for a long time while people go,
I was going to say that was like me with Canton. Like I did, it was a whole day thing. I basically was there from open to close. And I was like, okay, I'm good now.
I don't want to go. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
I'll check it out. I'm like Doctor Who. I don't want to go. Anyway, Major League Baseball.
You know who did go this past week though?
To the Hockey Hall of Fame?
No, just in general. He left. He's gone.
Who?
Jorge Lopez from the Mets.
Gone.
He's gone.
Well, his team sucks.
Yes.
Those aren't my words. They're not my words.
No, they're his words. To be fair, they kind of walked it back a little bit, and we don't know what he said. We don't know exactly what he said. He's trying to walk it back and saying, no, I was a bad teammate or this, but at least for a brief period. To be fair, he was mad because he also basically knew he was getting cut after that game.
Yeah. Well, that's important to the story is that, like, because they cut him because he said that. And I'm like, well.
It's like, no, he knew he was on his way out. To my knowledge, the timeline events was that he knew he was he was leaving after, and then he made those comments.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jorge Lopez, a former All-Star with the Orioles, with former Minnesota Twin. He's had a couple of good years in the big leagues, but as usual, you go to the Mets and your career falls apart. That's typically kind of what happens. So, so poor Jorge Lopez, now a free agent again, designated for assignment. So if anybody wants him,
someone will pick him up.
I think somebody desperate for pitching. I think, again, there's something there. I think also he's going through a lot. I think that his son is going through a life-threatening procedure right now. So there's a lot going on with him personally. And then on top of it, you're playing for the Mets, the worst team in baseball.
Well, there is a team he could go to if he wanted retribution on the Mets.
The Yankees?
And we actually need a pitching right now. So
both of us could use relief pitching, actually.
Yeah. No, I don't think – I mean, the Yankees would be hilarious The Yankees would be funny if he went there. The Phillies.
We already fixed one Met reliever, Tonkin, who's now our long reliever, who just picked up the win the other day in San Francisco. Yeah. He's been great since he came to the Yankees. He's like, amazing. I can win.
The best part of the story is the Mets going, we have standards.
that was hysterical.
We have standards here.
No, you don't.
You can't say we're the worst team. Like, well,
technically, the White Sox are the worst team. Technically.
Yeah, but they're so bad. We have standards here. Yeah. Well, clearly you don't if a guy's saying that to the press.
Mets culture is as bad as the White Sox culture.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you saw this also, Tommy Pham basically threatening to punch somebody, to punch the catcher out when he got thrown at a home plate. Goodness. But again, that's 30 games under 5. We're 60 games into the season, and the White Sox are 30 games under 500. Yeah, that's that frustration boiling over. The Mets aren't much better. They're 10 games under 500. And honestly, look, no team has come close to blowing as many leads as the Mets bullpen has. It's a fact. It's a fact. Look it up, folks. As of this point in the season,
they have standards.
They have standards. Your starting center fielder was asked to name the most prolific athletes in New York sports. And the Mets center fielder, Harrison Bader, said Derek Jeter, Aaron Judge, and Anthony Volpe.
Standards.
Talk about a guy who wishes he didn't leave the Yankees after last year. Oh, my God. It's so funny because the Mets are so bad and their fans are so stupid. Oh, my God.
You know who's stupid, Ray?
Yes, I do.
You know who's stupid, Ray?
Players who bet on baseball.
If only, Ray, before this, there was any kind of warning or examples of what happens when players
precedent,
anything like that. You schmucks.
So 5 big league players have been suspended, 4 for 1 year because they're in the minor leagues, and the fifth one. I'm hoping I'm saying this right. Tucupita, probably saying that wrong. I'm so sorry.
that guy,
Marcano, an infielder formerly of the Pirates, now with the Padres. While he was hurt with the Pirates, made 231 bets on the Pirates and won only 4% of his bets. By the way, accumulating in thousands and thousands of dollars in losses. And now you're banned from baseball for life.
You got Pete Rose.
You are done, sir. You get nothing. Good day.
Good day. I said good day.
I mean, look, again, it's easier than ever to catch. It's easier than ever to bet. And so it's also easier than ever to catch you. There is a digital paper trail now of every bet you make, whether it's DraftKings or FanDuel.
No, they were using a burner phone.
Yeah.
It's okay. Listen, here's the deal. A lot of people are like, well, it's really hypocritical that they have bet sites. You can bet on any other things. You can bet on other sports. You can't bet on the sport you're playing in. It's kind of an unwritten rule. It's not unwritten. It's a written rule across the board. Yeah. Now, Shohei Ohtani somehow dodged the biggest bullet ever. All right.
I mean, they said it's case closed today. They said he has been absolved of everything because now his buddy pled guilty. It is all. That's it. They said it's case closed. Although none of us believe that, but it's case closed.
Yeah, it's they're not going
to especially now. By the way, that it's coming out, a lot of his Angel teammates were also betting. Like David Fletcher is now being investigated as well. Anyway. Kind of just
they're not going to allow their best player to go under. But anyway, this is like a red-handed caught situation.
Yeah, Marcano didn't have a translator.
None of them have translators. Yeah. I was just going to say that. Nobody has translators to put it on. So MLB, some of you are in front of the bus, some of the players in front of the bus, but the league is not this week, which is progress.
Yes, it is progress. Overall, the league itself is not in front of the bus, but it's 5 players for gambling and Jorge Lopez and probably the whole Mets. You're in front of the bus.
Yeah. Now, Ray, we have football news today.
This was an interesting signing because this is a person who has never played a snap of football to my knowledge in his life. Maybe at the high school level, but to my knowledge has never in his life. Definitely not collegiate and obviously not in the pros. Gable Stevenson, an Olympic gold medalist who then signed with the WWE and did not do much there, especially as there was also some sexual
producer shaking his head no, right?
Yeah, no, he did nothing there.
Going, I agree, nothing.
Yeah, he did absolutely nothing. The only thing that happened to him there was that some sexual assault allegations came out against him. That because of funny enough, he got off on a technicality because they came up in the state of Minnesota, and Minnesota has some really weird laws about if also, the individuals are drunk or whatever while it happens.
Sexual assault in the WWE. Normal sexual assault is nothing in the WWE nowadays because of other situations. So, just joking, by the way. It's always something. Don't ever do anything like that.
It's absolutely 100%
friendly neighborhood league.
Terrible. Yeah.
Despicable. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. But Gable Stevenson, again, his case also got thrown out. So as of right now, he is that's the case, and he can do whatever he wants. And so the Buffalo Bills. Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills, they say. Gable Stevenson is going to take a crack at being an NFL defensive lineman, and they say they think there's something there. Obviously, the athleticism is there, the strength is there, but for somebody who's, again, was a championship, gold medalist wrestler, and then a professional wrestler, you see football players go and become wrestlers. You don't usually see wrestlers go and become football players. But Gable Stevenson trying to show the door goes both ways. Best of luck to him, but signs a rookie deal with the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
I guess you fail at one thing, you might as well just keep on failing upwards.
Fail is a unique word to be using here. The last time I remember seeing anything like this was Brock Lesnar when he tried out for the Minnesota Vikings, and he didn't make it.
But that's the thing. But that's before he became a pro wrestler.
No, it wasn't.
Really? I thought that was before.
I don't believe it was, Ray. I am pretty sure he was with the WWE. You can look this up. I would love you to confirm this. I'm pretty sure he was with the WWE for a bit, and then decided to go try out for the Vikings. And then when he didn't make it, he came back. Because here's the thing: how would we have known who he was if that's not the case? Right.
I could have sworn that he tried for the Vikings first, and then
I was severely off on the miles between Edmonton and Florida, so I could use a win here if you want to look it up for me.
I am going to definitely look this up and try to get his timeline down.
Look, this is what I'm going to say. You have to be one hell of an athlete to be able to jump from sport to WWE to the NFL. So I'm not saying he's going to make it, he's going to do great. Mm-hmm. I think it's pretty cool that someone is athletic enough to kind of switch sports like that. It just goes to show you again how great athletes are great athletes. I always tell people, because we have a lot of debate about sports specific training and youth athletics, which is the worst thing you can do. Yeah. The top baseball players, hockey players, football players, basketball players, most likely, if they wanted to, could go pro or very high level pro in another sport.
Yeah.
All right. That's how athletic these guys are. It's not, you have your phenoms here and there, but Wayne Gretzky says all the time, he loved baseball. He was great at baseball. Yeah. Right. Tom Seaver was drafted in the NHL, if I'm not mistaken. Right. There's a lot of guys.
They said Michael Jordan, if Michael Jordan stuck with baseball,
he would have
been a batting champion. They said he would have been a batting champion because the jump that he made from year 1 to year 2 and then year 2 to year 3, they said, you give him if he stuck with another 2 to 3 years, he would have been at the big league level and he would have been a batting champion.
Not to mention what they said his height, and we wouldn't be talking about the Chicago White Sox being such a horrible team, which is amazing. Right? Did you find anything on the Les?
Yes, and Zavi also does confirm this, but yes, I also found it myself. Brock Lesnar, you are correct, left WWE after 2 years, went to the Vikings, and then went back to wrestling. Did not go to WWE, went to New Japan, and then went to UFC before coming back to WWE. So you were correct. You got that one. You are 1-1 today.
I am 1-1, but in kilometers, Brock Lesnar was incorrect. Anyway, we're back to the show here. Yeah. The reason I remember him trying out for the Vikings is because of him leaving the WWE. Because again, I never remember that story as he's a failed football player. Not like Dwayne Johnson. Right. Who, failed.
Dwayne Johnson or Roman Reigns even, right? Who played defensive tackle at Georgia Tech.
Dwayne Johnson wasn't good enough. So naturally he just bought and created his own football league. It's going to be bought by the NFL one day. Genius. Anyway, Gable Stevenson, good for him, man. Really. Like, this is pretty cool to see a guy's willing to follow his dreams and not willing to quit on them. And I always like to see that. And the Bills are very desperate.
Yes. Yeah, the Bills have had a really weird offseason.
Do you hear that in the distance?
There it is. I hear it now. There it is. I was going to say, talk about folks who don't quit, or maybe properties that don't quit, but also the people who are champions in that. I actually probably a year ago, I watched that American Gladiators documentary.
Everyone over 35 knew what I was just singing, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody knew.
No clue.
This is a big deal. For us anyway.
Oh,
this was huge as a kid. American Gladiators is returning via Amazon and Amazon Prime. And yes, without the steroids, without the cocaine, without all the craziness.
Nitro!
Yeah, yes. This is a big deal. Look, this is a property that when done well and done right, it can captivate an audience and has repeatedly done so.
Just in case you don't know what this is. All right. Oh, I hate having to say that, but there's a chance.
It's true. There's people who might not know. It's been 20 years.
Right. This is how I would best describe American Gladiators. It was either your kind of introduction drug to wrestling.
Yeah.
Or it was what you did in addition to wrestling at the time. But basically it was the concept is average Joes kind of athletes.
Yeah.
Against professional
it's Joes versus pros, right?
It was like professional wrestling type people. Like they were the Gladiators.
Huge personalities, right? Like Zap and Nitro and
in a series of physical activities. Which if you watched Nickelodeon Guts, it was loosely based on American Gladiators. But,
there was an American Gladiator video game. You mentioned Nintendo.
Right,
it was in the late 80s and early 90s. There may not have been. It was one of the original reality show programs, and it was everywhere.
It was a tennis ball gun that every kid wanted to shoot.
The gauntlet. The joust. Everybody I know. I actually know friends who have said, like, I'm going to sign up. Go for it. Do it.
Yeah, I can't do it anymore, but you should. Yeah.
No, yeah, like we're in our late 30s, early 40s, but if you're in good enough shape, you're the contestant.
Yeah, late 30s for now. Anyway, American Gladiators was a great show. I'm glad it's coming back.
American Gladiators, if you need hosts. Hosts for American Gladiators.
Yeah. You should call professionals. You should call Bill and Liam McHugh. Us. Today's non-sponsor, American Gladiators.
Yes.
Yeah. Not to be confused with
us to host American Gladiators.
Not to be confused with Canadian Gladiators, which is a much more polite version of the show.
They actually did an international version of the show.
Was this called Gladiators?
I think it was just called Gladiators. Yeah, something like that.
Well, I mean, the idea is the Gladiators are American, but I have a feeling might be a little different now. But look, it's coming back. Great show. I'm interested to see if there's any twists. I mean, some of these original games have to come back, right? Like
yes.
The Joust, they said, is coming back.
Yeah.
The gauntlet was always great. The final round with the
the obstacle course. Yeah,
that was absolutely really fun. I mean,
by the way, there would be no Ninja Warrior without
American Gladiators. None. Yeah, American Ninja Warrior is loosely based on this, but the difference is that there's not a 6'5", 300-pound man trying to kill you, or woman.
Ninja Warrior.
Yeah, American Gladiators. Now I'm thinking about this, Ray. Because again, we grew up with it, so we were kind of innocent at that time, but always had a healthy representation of women on that show too.
It wasn't even mixed. It was always a women. It was always 2 men and always 2 women, right? Like that was
way ahead of its time. Now I'm thinking about it. I didn't realize that until I just thought about it, but that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, they did a great job, and there was the one where was it? You had the soccer balls. You had to try and dunk them into the containers and everything.
Yeah, remember that they would tackle you.
Oh my god, like that. I mean, people would get hurt People would get hurt sometimes. Like people and they'd have standby contestants who would then inherit your score or whatever. Like if somebody because people got concussed, some people got their nose broken. I think one dude broke his leg. Like
I remember the other one too was like I think this was in the major, the ending obstacle course, but like you had to break through a wall and you didn't know if a gladiator was going to be on the other side, and it was funny either way because they'd either break through with like there's someone behind this wall and they would just fall, or they'd break through into literally a brick wall of a human being and fall. So. The consumer always wins when it comes to perfect pitch. Yes. American Gladiators.
Yeah, no, perfect. And that kind of is a perfect segue into our geek section. That's kind of that toes the line between sports and geek.
That is if WWE and American Gladiators is the greatest transition we've ever had.
Absolutely, 100%. And then both used to be on USA Network. Way back when.
That's true. Now they're both going to be on streaming networks.
That's right. Yeah, WWE's going to Netflix, and this will be on Amazon. So
what can we get? AEW? No, nobody wants Tony Khan here. American Gladiators? Say that again. American Gladiators. Let's do it. I'm going to make a penis rocket ship, and we're going to have American Gladiators.
Let's do it. Speaking of streaming series, I believe it's coming to Netflix.
It's coming somewhere, and I'm going to tell you this right now, that X-Men 97 and other animated series now are paving the way for every streaming service and property manager to screw up animated TV by doing too much, too quick. But this one that we're about to talk about is 20 years overdue. Because I would have watched this I'm sorry, let me rewind back. This one is 30 years overdue. Because I would have watched it when I was a 10-year-old boy. 100% would have watched it as a 15-year-old boy. This is something that is long overdue, and I'm glad it's finally coming. And the voice actress is a perfect fit.
Perfect. Well, I mean, and to be fair, and the reason why I mentioned Netflix is that obviously not just as a series, but what's a big deal is that they had the great Castlevania series as well for anime, and now they are doing Tomb Raider: The Legend of Lara Croft. And it's going to be an anime, and it's coming to streaming services. It's going to be on Netflix from Powerhouse Animation and Legendary TV. And it's starring Haley Atwell, aka Peggy Carter, as the voice of Lara Croft. It's dropping first episode. I don't know if it's dropping I think it's dropping as a full series. It's dropping October 10th. This is a big deal. This is, again, showing, like Delee's point, that, like, animation is still obviously increasingly viable and a great way to tell stories that you might not know as well to tell. Obviously, look, putting it on streaming services, it's great. Obviously, again, to Delee's point, they're trying to compete. And also, video games and comic books are leading the way. What else is
story has to be good. Like again, yes. X-Men 97 worked because the story was exquisite, maybe the top 3 best I've ever seen, if not the best.
Yeah.
That's why it worked.
Yeah.
So if you just put Lara Croft up there and put her in a Tomb Raider situation, it'll be okay. You need expert writers and expert storytellers. I don't know how much more obvious that can become to Marvel. I'll also say this, from an adult animation standpoint, we are so far behind Japan.
Yes.
That it's so overdue that this is finally happening.
Yes.
Right? That animated features were always seen for just kids in this country. And now you have a whole generation of us that grew up on that. That's why I said 20 years ago, and I was like, I was 20 years ago. 30 years ago, this would have made sense. But look, Haley Atwell, perfect for this. I think a very underappreciated and underutilized actress, especially in the superhero genre. So I'm hoping that this continues to put her map. She's done a lot of work with Marvel, but for whatever reason, I always felt like she was on just a lower tier when they marketed things. And I love Haley Atwell. So I'm looking forward
phenomenal. To that. Yeah, this is going to be great, I think, on every level. I think they've done a terrific job casting. I think, again, like Delee's point, as long as they do well with the story, I'm curious, is it going to be like an anthology where it's like an adventure a week? Or is it going to be one long season, like one overarching adventure where she's
what would you prefer?
Item? I would prefer if it was like a mystical item a week, right? But I understand that at that point you might run out of stories to tell too quickly. So I could also understand if it was like a long arcing thing where she's going after one mystical item per season. So it's an interesting conundrum. I am curious to see also how long it is. If it's 30 or 60 minutes, imagine it's going to be 30.
I imagine it'll be 22. Yeah, 22 minutes, like standard TV time. The real question is there going to be an episode where she sticks the butler in the freezer? And my guess is that will happen.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious how much are they going to go into the lore? How much are they going to go into, the new games versus the old games? Are they going to do their own path and just completely like based on what we've seen before from?
And again, is this for kids or is it for all of us? That's the other question as well.
I mean, it sounds like it's more for all of us / adults.
Well, again, look, if we've learned anything here over the last few years, it's that, and this is from The Last Jedi all the way to X-Men 97 and everything and anything in between. It's that you can't just say, "Oh, this is for the kids." Like you can't do that with some of these properties. You got to make it for both, and it can be done.
Yes.
All right. Or you can just do it like X-Men 97. I'm not showing my kids that. That was intense. Yeah. All right. But maybe I will just because I want to watch it again. But that's not the point. All right. My thing is that you can appease both audiences. Like The Last Jedi taught us, you can't just throw away fandom like that. You have to respect it. And there's a way to do that.
Yes.
Right. Mandalorian has done that magically. You can watch that with your kids, but you can also watch that and sit crying in your room because Luke Skywalker came back, which I'm not going to confirm or deny that happened. Anyway, looking forward to this. Haley Atwell, congratulations.
Yes. And one other thing before we go today, tonight is the series premiere of The Acolyte on Disney Plus, talking about Star Wars. So we'll have something to look forward to talk about next week.
Nelino Bada.
Yes, in the High Republic, the Old Republic. We're going way back.
And they've said, and I appreciate this. I appreciate that they said this, and we'll have a full review of this next week. No cameos from any Star Wars characters. It sounds like, unless they're lying to us, sounds like no Yoda. I mean, that's the only person really alive. No Palpatine, and I am completely fine with that if they want to explore into another era of Star Wars.
Yeah,
I would be surprised. We'll see if Yoda is. I that would not.
Again, to your point, that would be the only one who'd be old enough. To be able to really, because again, this is like 100 years before. It's
100 years before.
Before New Hope,
so he's very much alive. It's just,
absolutely, it's just but like nobody else is.
Yeah, and
not
that's
even Palpatine.
And I'm saying I'm not waiting for a Yoda cameo here. I just want a great Star Wars story.
Yes, 100%. And Carrie Ann Moss. It stars Carrie Ann Moss.
Yeah, so I saw a scene. I think I told you this. I saw it. I went to go see The Phantom Menace, and they had a full scene, and it's like that's Trinity. And she's acting like Trinity. She's fighting like Trinity. So I'm interested to see if they expand beyond that. But she's talking like Trinity. I'm like Trinity in Star Wars, which kind of works.
It could work. Yeah. It could work. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. A little bit of a short episode this week.
Great episode.
It was a great episode.
Saturday. This weekend's mashup. Which superhero would you want to see compete in American Gladiators? Perfect pitch. American Gladiators again. Coming back.
That's going to be a fun one.
We're going to put some superheroes in the Gladiator role, or maybe even the Challenger role. You'll find out when you listen to the matchup this Saturday with Ray Carcillo and Lee Elias on the only Geeks Who Like Sports radio network.
Yes, but until then, for your future American Gladiator hosts, for Lee, I'm Ray. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of Geeks Who Like Sports. We really appreciate everybody. We will see you on Saturday for the matchup, or next week for another episode of Geeks Who Like Sports.